If you're a business owner and would like more information about sponsoring Geek Therapy Radio, just email geektherapy@iheartmedia.com. That's geektherapy@iheartmedia.com or call 713-212-8422. That's 713-212-8422. It's more affordable than you might think to reach thousands of customers through the power of broadcast radio and worldwide podcast. And listeners, let me know your geek thing by emailing me, geektherapy@iheartmedia.com. I'll even give you a shout out for your submissions. And with that, meeting adjourned, let's get our geek on.
Whether it's cars, comics, video games, or violins, there's a little geek in all of us. It's time to give your geek a voice. It's time for Geek Therapy. Here's your host, Johnny Himberger.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Geek Therapy Radio for this week, the second show of the new year. And I have welcomed in the new year just like I guarantee you so many other people have welcomed in the new year, with the flu and being sick. I know I'm not the only one. Apparently, this is the worst flu pandemic since we started keeping track of it, which I'm not sure I fully understand or believe. Apparently we haven't been keeping track of it that long. So, since we've been tracking it, this has been the worst flu season ever. It's killed hundreds of people. You know, usually that's elderly and the infirm. But, it didn't kill me. I'm still here, obviously. I'm not talking to you from beyond the grave. So welcome to a new episode of Geek Therapy Radio. I have a few things to talk about, and I'm finally going to touch on a subject that I'm not going to say I didn't really want to touch on it or talk about it. I just wanted to kind of understand it a little better before I did touch on it. That is the Logan Paul debacle, YouTube dead body thing. First of all, I didn't know who the guy was. Apparently he has like 15 million subscribers on YouTube, but I had never heard of him because it's not that far-fetched. He doesn't cater to my demographic. If I was a tween boy, then I'm sure I would know all about him, because when I was a tween boy, I was all about Jackass and CKY and all that other dumb stuff, which now in retrospect, yeah, it seems really dumb. Apparently Jackass and CKY is like masterpiece theater compared to Logan Paul and his other constituents. Just basically posting things for shock value and to be stupid and nothing of any real substance, just dumb stuff that a 12-year-old boy, 13-year-old boy would find awesome. So I'm not going to necessarily slam the content in that regard, because it's catering to the audience. It's really dumb. And when, if this guy, Logan Paul, went to his grave having nothing but a repertoire of nonsense to his name, nothing of real substance, then that sucks. But I think he got his first taste of reality, dose of reality here in the past few weeks. And I will finally get into it because, like I said, I wanted to kind of come to my own conclusions and not just jump on board the bandwagon with what everyone else is saying. And again, like I said, I didn't know who this guy was, so I wanted just to be sure I knew who I was talking about. Okay, so Logan Paul is a YouTuber, a very famous YouTuber, 15 million followers. He's in his early 20s, I guess. He's been doing it since he was in his late teens or whatever. He went to Japan recently and went to the suicide forest at the base of Mount Fuji to film a video. And he came across a dead body that had obviously committed suicide. The gentleman had hung himself. And apparently in this video, he was kind of making light of it. And he was pretending to be shocked. Oh my goodness, it's a dead body. You don't walk into a place called the suicide forest where there's thousands of known cases, hundreds of known cases of suicide. It's where Japanese people go to end their life, unfortunately. So there's no way he didn't walk into there thinking that he wouldn't find a dead body. He went into there knowing that he was going to find a dead body, or that there's a very high, likelihood that he would come upon a dead body. So that's not even the worst thing. What's terrible is he knew what he might happen upon. He made a conscious decision to do this knowing that he might come upon a dead body. And do you think for 1 second that what was going through him and his buddy's head is, if we find a dead body, we're not going to film it or we're not going to post it? Bull crap. Finding a dead body would be amazing hype for a video. So he found this deceased gentleman, not taking into account what kind of tragedy and sadness that this guy may have caused his family, did cause his family, filmed it and posted it. He has since apologized. YouTube took down the video a good while after it was posted, a few days after it was posted. And I'll get into why YouTube is kind of in the hot seat for this too. But anyways, through this whole process, Logan Paul finds a body. He found the body. He filmed the body. There were at least several hours, if not a couple days, after he found the body, where you have to edit the video. You have to put the video through many different channels. You have to sit there and spend time with this video and think about what you're doing. He had so many opportunities to think about and contemplate, hey, is this the right thing to do? Should I capitalize on someone else's pain? At no point in that process of editing the video, shooting the video, sleeping on it, taking counsel from friends, who I doubt any of his friends and followers were telling him not to do it. I guarantee you they weren't. I guarantee you nobody on his little team there was like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do it. It's probably just a bunch of yes men saying, yeah, do it, because it's all about views. Let's get real here. It's all about views on YouTube. So this whole process, he had so many points at which he could think, nah, I don't want to get views this way. He could have had a conscience at any moment. So he had a conscience after he got in trouble for it. He didn't take the video down himself. Well, maybe he did take it down himself after he got pressure from YouTube to take it down. But at no point in the process did he decide that, hey, this is a bad idea. Here's the extra rub. Here's where YouTube gets kind of thrown under the bus with all this also. YouTube let that thing fly. YouTube let him upload the video. This is a very high profile creator on the platform. So human eyes had to have seen this video and didn't stop it from being posted. Even though YouTube's own guidelines say you cannot post things like that for pure shock value. If you're dealing with the subject of suicide, or you're going to show, somebody who's committed suicide, it has to be in a very, very certain respectful format, like part of a documentary, and they've gotten clearance from the family, and it's done very respectful for education, not just, look at this dead body we found. YouTube doesn't allow that. Yet, they allowed this video to be up for days. Not only did YouTube allow this video to be posted, they put it on their trending page. When you first log into YouTube and you can see what's trending, that's where you could have found this video for a couple days apparently. So a person saw it and said, this video is getting lots and lots of views. We're going to put it on the trending page. What's hot page or whatever. So somebody there at YouTube allowed it to make it to a promoted page. Let's say I made a video of me, I don't know, doing something stupid, falling downstairs or taking a pie to the face or like blowing up a black cat in my mouth or something. That's stupid, that's shock value, that might make trending because look at this idiot doing something dumb and silly. None of my other videos that I upload to YouTube would ever make it to trending because it's not shocking. It's not anything that would be of mass interest to a bunch of people. So that's not lowest common denominator. So they're not going to put it on the trending page. But since Logan Paul was a very successful YouTuber, 15 million followers, I guess anything he touches is gold. So YouTube itself said, we're going to let this fly. Meanwhile, the smaller creators, content creators, they don't get jack crap aid from YouTube to help promote videos. None. So basically YouTube went against their own guidelines and policies, restricting shock value material, that depicts death and gore just for the sake of depicting death and gore. They went against their own policy to cater to a very popular YouTuber that brings in lots of views and lots of advertisers. Now, no advertiser in their right mind would want to put an ad before a video like that was making fun of suicide. Nobody would do. No one in the right mind would do that. So I'm not sure if the video was monetized. It might have been monetized. I'm not sure. I didn't see it when it was up. I don't know if it was monetized. Something tells me that it probably was monetized. Which brought the extra scrutiny. So, Logan Paul has apologized twice. And I'm not saying it's crocodile tears, but we'll see if he's actually learned his lesson. YouTube has come out and has handled the situation since then. I think they've handled it adequately. They have banned this guy from any of their paid content. He's not on. They do these YouTube does reality shows or something now. He's banned from that anymore. He's not going to appear on that. They have brought the hammer down on him. The issue is, why did they let it go for so long before finally taking a stand on it? Before taking it down? Why did it take an outcry of celebrities and other YouTube creators saying, hey, take this down? It should have been taken down by YouTube's own policy. It should have been taken down. Meanwhile, little creators have the hardest time trying to carve a niche for themselves because YouTube just doesn't care. It doesn't seem to care about the little guy. And YouTube can do what it wants. I'm not saying that I, as somebody who uploads, wants to be babied by YouTube, because that's not what it is. If a creator's content isn't captivating and isn't drawing viewers organically, then they shouldn't be artificially promoted. So I know that's what keeps creators who upload, they have to stay competitive. They have to keep their content unique and engaging. So if people don't find my stuff, for instance, unique and engaging, that's fine. I'll figure out what works and what doesn't. I don't need YouTube to promote me just because I upload to their site. But at the same time, don't show unfair preference to somebody just because they're already established. Because as we know, somebody with, like we just said, somebody with 15 million followers can post videos of a dead body, and YouTube is like, that's cool. That's cool for now. We'll see what happens. Anyways, so that's my thoughts on Logan Paul. He had so many opportunities when he was editing, when he was filming, before he even went into there, when he was doing prep for the video. He had all the opportunities, several hours and days. He had opportunity to back out, to have a conscience and think this is not a good idea. But he knew that he could get so many views with this and X amount of dollars for this, so he went through and did it. And now he's sorry. Maybe he really is sorry. Doesn't matter if he's sorry or not. YouTube brought the hammer of God down on him, and he now has hell to pay. More Geek Therapy Radio to come up. More Geek Therapy Radio coming up. CES was this week, so we're going to talk a little bit about CES and some cool stuff that went on there. Maybe Sarah will chime in here a little bit. She's just beside me playing Tetris. I've created a monster. She's about to lose, and she did just lose. Okay, more Geek Therapy Radio coming up. Just Google Geek Therapy Radio, and it'll come up all the Facebook, YouTube, all the social media, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Go follow, like, and subscribe. I'll truly appreciate it. And be right back. I'll cover a little bit of CES. More coming up. Stick around.
Keep it hood, 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 keep it hood.
Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. So, quick topic before we talk about CES 2018. Killer herpes from wild monkeys in Florida. So, long story short, let me just give you the banana peel of the story. Back in the 1930s and 40s, there was a captain of some boat, glass-bottom boat apparently, released a few dozen macaques into an island off of Florida. And the reason why he did it was because he thought it would be funny for a tourist passing by to go to the island full of macaques. Macaques are funny little monkeys. They can be quite annoying and actually quite, dangerous to tourists. They're very smart, and if you go to Asia, they're always trying to steal your food or fighting with each other, getting electrocuted. They're getting into some antics, and it's kind of funny. But anyways, the macaques in Florida have a strain of herpes that is deadly to humans. So while in the little monkey macaque, it might just give a little, rash or whatever herpes do to people. Not very deadly in monkeys, but in humans it can be very deadly. So watch out, Florida man. I don't even know how you would get herpes from a monkey. Don't even want to think about it. But it's Florida, so God knows. I don't know. Be safe, Florida friends. Don't go messing around with macaques. Hear that? Sarah, hush. So CES was this week, 2018 CES, and it was pretty unremarkable. I mean, I really didn't see a whole ton of coverage. There's a few things that stuck out to me. One thing is I saw the new Dell XPS 15, which I think my next computer, whenever it's going to be a Dell XPS 15. And the reason why it's neat this year is because of the Kaby Lake G processor, which is it comes in a few different variants, but at its best, it's quad-core, 8-thread, i7, with an integrated AMD Radeon GPU, which rivals the power of a comparable GTX 1060 MQ or whatever. Maxwell, I'm blanking out. I'm so sick. I'm sorry. You know what I'm talking about. It's the lower power variant of the GTX 1060. So the Kaby Lake G, i7 quad core, 8-thread, has AMD Radeon graphics built in on one chip, in one package, which means that it doesn't, having a CPU and a GPU doesn't have to take up so much space anymore. It's all on one package. It all gets one set of heat pipes. You don't have to, it's a boon for cooling, and that means you can fit, I'm just geeking out thinking about it because it's so neat. It's going to allow high performance graphics in much smaller devices, aka the Dell XPS 15 2-in-1. So I'm all about it. It's probably going to be expensive. Probably going to be around $1,500, maybe $1,700. But I think it's actually good value. I think this is a big step. The last year we've seen a great stride in microcomputing due to the chips getting smaller and due to this awesome alignment of Intel and AMD, which is crazy. And I talked about it in previous episodes that this was coming down the pipes. Intel and AMD are rival companies. So the fact that they are coming together to make one chip that includes Intel's CPU and AMD's GPU, that's really cool. And that's really cool for us, the consumer. So I'm super excited about the Dell XPS 15. There's another product that Razer released that I think is just stupid. I mean, I think it's cool, but it's stupid. It's cool, but it's useless. I think. I mean, maybe Razer will prove me wrong. Maybe this thing's gonna be a hot seller. I don't know. I really don't see how it could. Basically, it's Razer Project Linda And this is just a prototype. Who knows what it's actually going to be when it comes out to production. But basically what it is it's a Razer Blade laptop. But the laptop does not have its own CPU, does not have its own graphics, doesn't have its own anything other than a battery pack, basically. So what you're supposed to do is slip your Razer phone into the base of the laptop, and now the phone is powering everything. The phone is doing all the computing. You basically have an Android laptop after you put your Razer phone into it. That's really neat. That sounds really cool. But here's why I think it's dumb. And let me preface this by saying, I think that if Windows did this, if there was Windows Phone, and the Windows had the new Y series chips in there, like a Windows Phone with the Y5 or whatever in there, Y7, that you could just pop into a laptop and basically have a full-fledged Windows 10 laptop running off your Windows Phone, your quad-core Windows Phone, that would be amazing. That would actually make sense. But I don't think Android is robust enough as a standalone operating system to do absolutely everything you want. For instance, I can't run Cakewalk Sonar on Android. I can't run Sony Vegas on Android. There aren't Android apps or iPhone apps powerful enough to do what a full-fledged Mac OS or Windows operating system can do on an actual x86 chip set. So it's a novelty. Getting back to the Razer Project Linda, where you put your Razer phone into the laptop and now your laptop runs off of your Android Razer phone. Here's why it's dumb. If you are already going to be carrying a laptop-sized device with you, you'd probably just be carrying a laptop. Why would you carry a laptop that isn't a laptop until you put your phone into it? That makes no sense. I should kind of rephrase that. It makes no sense depending on the price of this dummy laptop. If Razer's little laptop, Project Linda, costs like $200, sure, that might be doable to keep the dummy laptop in your backpack, and then when you need to do some work, you pull it out, put your phone inside of it, and your phone charges while you're, doing your word processing or typing your college report or something like that. But if it's a dime over $200, it's the most useless, pointless, stupid product that Razer has ever come out with. And I know those are harsh words, but it really seems dumb to me. Because, again, like I said, you got a $700 phone in your pocket, the Razer phone. It's only going to work with the Razer phone, by the way. It's already a niche market. It's already just for people with a Razer phone. It's not any phone. It's just the Razer phone. So if you got a $700 phone in your pocket, and I believe Project Linda is supposed to cost about $500, do you want a $500 laptop that does nothing until you put your phone into it? Or do you want a $500 laptop that is a full-fledged laptop? That's why it's dumb. That's why I have no idea why Razer is doing this. And I try to think, like, maybe this is an April Fool's joke. This is such a silly little idea. It's not a unique idea. Other company, I think Samsung made a similar product a while back where you're supposed to slide your phone into the back of the Samsung notebook, and now you have basically an Android laptop. They tried that a few years ago. Didn't work. It was dumb. So now Razer's trying to do the same thing, and I know the build quality is going to be great. The actual quality of the product would be really great, top notch. I mean, like Mac level of just fit and finish. But $500 for a laptop that isn't functional until you put your very specific Razer phone into it, $500? No, not gonna work. And I know I sound so harsh on this, but I wish it does work. I wish Razer all the best. I hope this thing takes off and it just takes over the industry like a wildfire. But I know it's not. Anyone looking for a $500 laptop is going to spend $500 on an actual laptop, not just something that's a paperweight until you put your Android phone in it and then it becomes an Android laptop. No one's going to buy that. Sorry, Razer. No one's going to do it. It's a very interesting exercise, and it's very cool. And if I got one for free, I think it'd be one of the coolest things in the world. $500, though? Screw that mess. We'll be back with more Geek Therapy Radio. Maybe I'll touch on a couple other things from CES. Really, the only things that stuck out to me was that XPS 15 with the KB Lake G processor, i7, and the AMD graphics built into it. That's really cool because I might actually get that product here in a couple years. It's already going to be old by that time. And then the absurd product, the Razer Project Linda. I don't get it. The rest of CES was dominated by Wi-Fi connected assistants like Alexa and Echo and Google Home and all that stuff. Just the Internet of Things. So yeah, there's nothing at CES that really stood out. There's an 8K TV that no one's going to get for several years, but it's cool to demonstrate the technology. So to say CES 2018 was a bit of a dud, nothing really. I'd say the showstoppers would be Intel and AMD teaming up together on that chip. That's probably the biggest thing to come out of it, in my opinion. But let me know. This podcast is on platforms where you can comment below. So let me know. And you can also email me, geektherapy@iheartmedia.com. That's geektherapy@iheartmedia.com. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Go onto that page and let me know what you think of CES 2018. Let me know what you think about macaque syphilis or whatever they were giving each other. No, it was herpes. And what would you need to do with macaque to get herpes? Just stay away from macaque monkeys in Florida, please. We'll be right back with more Geek Therapy Radio. Google Geek Therapy Radio. It's also.com, Facebook, social media. Sarah, where else is it?
I can't think.
We'll be right back with more Geek Therapy Radio. Stick around.
Get down.
Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. I'm Johnny Hamburger, your mental curator. That's the first time I've mentioned that this episode. Sorry about all the macaque talk in the last segment. But really, if you get herpes from a macaque monkey, then I don't want to say you deserve it, but like, why are you messing around with monkeys in that close of quarters, let's just say. So how do they say, I mean, it's unfortunate, but like AIDS? I don't think that's true, actually. They say, the story goes that a human had sex with a monkey, and that's how humans got AIDS. I believe that's been debunked, because you don't have to have sex with somebody to get AIDS. It's just exchange of blood and fluids and orifices and stuff like that, which there's lots of orifices and exchange of fluids you can do without hanky-panky with a monkey. So, back to, there's a kind of a neat story that came out of CES. Do you guys remember Circuit City? And the crowd goes, yeah! Unless you're young and then you don't remember. Circuit City was kind of like Best Buy. I mean, Circuit City and Best Buy coexisted for many years together. So Circuit City is coming back. What? But not how you think. Circuit City is coming back as a online retailer. So there's not going to be brick and mortar Circuit Cities. It's just going to be an online retailer, which good luck to the CEO of the new Circuit City, because there's other online retailers that are pretty much taking the market over. One of them starts with A and ends with Mazon. So you've got that built-in competition with Amazon. So good luck, Circuit City. I'll check it out. I'll check out Circuit City once it comes online. See what the fuss is about. But they've got the odds stacked up against them. And I think they're banking on the nostalgia. I think they're banking on how long has Circuit City been out? At least 10 years. 10, 15 years? Something like that. There's been no Circuit Cities anywhere. I used to go to Circuit City all the time because Circuit City used to have like the best. They were the best about open box deals. So I would go, and if I wanted a new laptop or something like that, I go to Circuit City first and I check the open box stuff, like the display items there'd be a display item that had been out for, a few weeks, a couple months, had all the blemishes, all the little kids sticking their stupid little grubby Snickers chocolate fingers all over it. So you'd be able to get the display items a lot cheaper than a brand new item. Or you could get open box. That means somebody, brought it home. Turns out they didn't like it and they brought it back. So now they have to sell it again at a pretty steep discount because the box is already open. Otherwise, the product is good. So I remember going to Circuit City all the time. One of the coolest times I remember going into Circuit City, hopefully this doesn't spur any other little rabbit trails in my brain. And also, side note, let me know what your Circuit City memories are. Email me, geektherapy@iheartmedia.com, or go to the Facebook page, Geek Therapy Radio, and tell me what your fond or unfond Circuit City memories are. But computer stores in the 90s were just so magical. Anyways, I remember the coolest time I went to Circuit City was my parents had just bought a 1997 Dodge Caravan. And that shaggin' wagon was in our family for many years. So we went to Circuit City because we were buying an entertainment console for the minivan. And remember, this is 1997. This wasn't fold-out flat screens and DVD. It wasn't even DVD players. We were going for this console that went between the two front seats, pilot seats, captain seats, whatever you want to call them. And it created an armrest. But inside this console was a freaking VCR and a little, I think it was like a 10-inch TV. It wasn't very big, but it was all powered off of the cigarette lighter. I think it had its own built-in power power converter. So anyways, I remember going in for that and looking at the thing, and it was so cool. We got so much use out of that thing because we would take so many road trips in that minivan, and we would have the Super Nintendo hooked up to that console. And again, remember, this is 1997. This is even before 2000. Having TVs and stuff in a car was pretty rare. They had made conversion vans that had TVs and entertainment systems in there, stereos in there, but this was just like a regular minivan, 7-passenger minivan that you take on road trips in Sitch, that we had a TV in there, and it was the coolest thing in the world because what we would do, this is super unsafe, but what we would do is we'd take out at least the middle two seats and we'd put a mattress back there or egg crate or something. We'd make a big giant bed out of the middle of the minivan, and we'd move the back seat the furthest back it could go so that people could still sit in the very back bench seat, but the middle of it was basically just a den of soft things and pillows, and you lay down and you play Super Nintendo while you're on these really long road trips. And I know everyone's picturing me, little babes Johnny, with my big thick Coke bottle glasses and my little friends and brothers hanging out back there on these road trips playing Donkey Kong Country and Super Mario World and our little video games. But we had that minivan for a long time, even after high school. So I can't get into the story of too many stories of what we used that van for, what we did in that van on road trips. No, it's not sexual, but it's other stuff that I'm not going to incriminate myself. But we used that TV, that console forever, and we got that console from Circuit City. They had a whole car department. I got car stereo stuff from Circuit City. Circuit City used to have pretty good prices. Their prices used to be better than Best Buy, even though Best Buy's name of the entire store was Best Buy, meaning that, it was best to buy there. It wasn't. Best Buy is cool. Best Buy is great, but Circuit City was better because Circuit City had more to compete for, had more reason to try to stay alive, and ultimately they didn't. And I thought Circuit City turned into Micro Center. There may be a grain of truth to that. Maybe somebody listening could let me know if Micro Center bought out Circuit City, the brick and mortar at least. I'm not sure on that, but let me know. Geek Therapy, iHeartMedia.com. That's the email address. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. yeah, so I have very fond memories of Circuit City. But it's coming back as an online retailer. What else is going on? New York City sues oil companies for the cost of adapting to climate change. So New York City is suing oil companies for climate change. Take that how you will. When I first heard this story, I was like, that is such bullcrap. There's not going to be a leg to stand on with that. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? They might actually have a little bit of a case. I'm not saying I 100% agree with suing oil companies for causing climate change, because I think it's a little bit more involved than that. Oil companies, they produced the fuel. They didn't necessarily burn the fuel. So I think that's the number one argument that, for instance, Chevron is going to make against New York City, saying we produced the oil. We refined the oil. We're not the ones who burned it. We weren't the end user who burned it and put it into the atmosphere. So case dismissed. That's how I think it's going to go. But I'm not a lawyer. I'm very dumb when it comes to legal stuff, and maybe what I just said was completely bogus. But this is Geek Therapy Radio, and you guys are supposed to help guide and shed light for other geeks. So like I said, go to Geek Therapy Radio Facebook and sound off. What do you think about this? How do you think this is going to go? Do you think New York City has a leg to stand on to sue oil companies for the cost of adapting to climate change? So I guess they're not really suing for climate change specifically, but the cost of adapting. For instance, if the sea levels are rising, then New York City needs to take precautions, buy extra pumps for the subway system, so to speak. But again, I maintain that the oil companies are going to say, we did not burn the oil, we supplied the oil. So if you're going to sue somebody, sue auto manufacturers, sue industry, sue electricity generation facilities, whoever's burning the end product, sue them. But you can't sue the oil company for producing the fuel. They're not the ones burning the fuel. That's the argument I think they're going to make, at least. Whether I agree with that or not is a different subject. Whether you agree with that or not is a different subject. But I'm just saying that's the defense that Chevron's going to make. We didn't burn it. We only provided it. But I thought that was an interesting case. Have any other countries, or has anybody else sued for climate change? That's dead air because I can't think of it. Another story that's been in the news is conservatives have been outspoken and concerned that social media sites like Twitter and Facebook have been censoring and banning conservative speech from their platforms, which I think is absolutely bananas bogus, because if you go onto Facebook right now, I promise you will see your conservative friends blowing that ish up. There is no shortage that I have ever noticed of my ultra-conservative friends posting their opinions on Facebook, which they are free to do in this country, and God bless them. Same thing with my very liberal friends. There's no shortage of political, left or right, liberal or conservative stuff on Facebook. And this is just my experience, I have not noticed any more liberal posts than I've noticed conservative posts. It's been pretty equal, and it all rubs me the wrong way. I don't like seeing my feed covered in all that stuff from whatever side of the aisle. I don't care. I like to know how my friends are doing, that they're doing well, that they're happy. I don't really care about all the political stuff that people post on Facebook, because left or right, 90% of it's schlock. 90% of it is just bias and opinion, and it's tugging on heartstrings. There's no facts ever involved in these posts. It's all heartstring stuff, left and right, both liberal and conservative. So the point is, I have not noticed Twitter or Facebook limiting the amount of posts from any side of the political aisle. I've not noticed it. Twitter engineers have admitted, the article is, did Twitter engineers admit to shadow banning conservatives? No, Twitter has not admitted to that. They do plan on banning a way of talking, quote unquote, ban a way of talking. But you know what that means? I think that just means hate speech. And guess what? A lot of people listening might be thinking, it's illegal to censor. You cannot censor any type of speech, whether it's hate speech or not. That's true. Legally, First Amendment, free speech, the government cannot censor any type of speech. But guess who can censor speech? Private businesses. Twitter's a private business. Facebook is a private business. Just like in Texas here, we recently made it legal to open carry if you have all the appropriate licenses. You can open carry in Texas, but you cannot enter a business that privately prohibits open carry. Like I think HEB in Houston prohibits open carry. Is it HEB? I believe it's HEB. Prohibits open carry in their stores. And a lot of open carry proponents argue that you can't infringe on my right to open carry. No, but HEB is not infringing on the right to open carry. That's just HEB's private policy. And you can get out. You don't have to shop at HEB. If you want to carry your gun on your hip, that's fine. You just can't walk into HEB with it. The building where I work, you cannot have open carry. You can still conceal carry, but you can't have open carry. So, just like free speech, the government cannot take away your right to free speech. The government cannot censor you and your right to say anything you want to say. But guess what? Facebook and Twitter, if they really wanted to, absolutely can censor your speech. We'll be right back with the last segment of Geek Therapy Radio. Let me know what you think about that subject. Like I said, Geek Therapy, iHeartMedia.com, that's my email. Even better would be to go to Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook and sound off on it. Because that's actually a hot button topic. And I guarantee you, if anyone's going to say anything to me on my Geek Therapy Radio Facebook page, it's going to be about that subject. So what do you think? Is Twitter or Facebook right? Are they in the right to censor conservative speech if they wanted to? I maintain that it'd be super crappy if they did, but they are perfectly legally able to do so if they chose. And there's not much we can do about it other than log out of Facebook. More Geek Therapy Radio to come. I'm Johnny Hamburger, mental curator. Go visit all the social media, like, follow, subscribe, and we'll be right back with the last segment of Geek Therapy Radio. Oh, welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. Thank you for bearing with me through I'm not even sure if I actually had the flu. I just say it was the flu because my bones ached, and anytime I get the flu, my bones ache. My bones don't ache for a cold, but my bones ached this time around. But I didn't get the flu as bad as a lot of other people did, thankfully. Final segment of Geek Therapy Radio. We covered CES, we covered Logan Paul and his stupid antics on YouTube, and my opinions about it, and I've asked you, my geeks, and we're all geeks about something. I've asked you to weigh in on it. Go to my Facebook page, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, and tell me what you think about the topics covered. Is Twitter and Facebook in their right to censor conservative speech? Are they in the right to censor any speech? I maintain that it is their right to censor speech because they are a private company, whether we like it or not, whether I agree with it personally or not. Holy crap, you know what? I am willing to admit that I will, how should I say this? I guess I'm wise enough. I don't know where I learned this, but there's a difference between what my heart thinks and what logic thinks. So like I was mentioning, my heart is pissed at Twitter and Facebook for even the notion of censoring anybody's speech. That pisses my heart right off. And I would embrace your fire and your pissed offness over any issue with my heart. But my heart is not my brain, and my heart is not logic. The logic is that private companies can do what they want and censor what they want. So I cannot fault a private company for censoring. Even though my heart is fiery against it, my brain knows that it's logical, that they can do what they want. And I'm not pissed at them for exercising their rights as a private enterprise to do what they want. So a couple cool things to end the show here. We have found the long-lost NES prototype of SimCity, the original Nintendo Entertainment System version of SimCity. I grew up playing SimCity on the Super Nintendo, but they were developing that project, SimCity, for their original NES before they scrapped the project and revamped it to release on the new Super Nintendo. So I'm super stoked to download that ROM and play SimCity on the NES. That's really cool. I think that's really cool. And I know it might sound lame, but of all the topics I've covered so far on this week's episode, that one personally gets my geek bone throbbing. The other thing is, Hyperkin plans to release a new / old Game Boy in 2018. Hyperkin is the company that, as an April Fool's joke, released a picture of a prototype like Game Boy sleeve that was supposed to go around your smartphone that lets you play Game Boy emulators on your phone using the real Game Boy controls. But people were so pissed off that it was April Fool's joke that the company actually made the product. They actually went into production on it. They said, oh crap, there's a huge outcry of people actually wanting this thing. So they actually made it, and they're actually selling it, and it's actually awesome. So the same company is releasing a brand new, quote unquote, old Game Boy in 2018. It's probably going to be like the Game Boy Pocket. It's going to have an LCD screen, black and white LCD screen, and that has divided many people. And I would say most gamers are like, that's too far of a step back. No one's going to buy that. I don't care about a greasy, washed out LCD screen Game Boy. But guess what? I'll buy it. I think it's going to be awesome. Even if it sucks a little bit, I'm still going to buy it. Because I hope the screen they use, even though it's black and white, I hope it's a really good, sharp LCD screen. That would be great. Because you know how long the batteries will last in that mofo? A long time. That's going to do it for Geek Therapy Radio this week. Thank you for listening. Sarah has a little song she's going to play here at the end. I usually end each show with a good message, and this is probably one of the best messages to leave it with. So without further ado, I'll let Sarah sing her song. See you next week, my geeks.
Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand, put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late, oh please don't hesitate, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Another day goes by and still the children cry. Put a little love in your heart. Take a good look around, and if you're looking down, put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. If you want the world to know, we won't let hatred grow. Put a little love in your heart. I hope when you decide, kindness will be your guide. Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place, and the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see.